The Reaper's Trust. Chapter 2. Conflicted. Violet took her mentor's advice the following day. She awoke early from her rest and headed outside, craving human interaction and the clarity the fresh air provided. The sun loomed in the sky, flooding the small world with color. Violet witnessed waves of blue in the sky, splashes of green in the plants, and a galaxy of hues in the gardens. The temperature was warm, a bit too warm for her liking, but she had grown used to it over the years. It didn't stop her from wearing her white sweater and black jacket. As she gracefully walked along the cobblestone paths, she examined all those around her. People of many different races mingled, talking to each other as equals despite their varying cultures, claws, horns, wild hair colors, and intricate skin patterns. There was no end to the fantastic and bizarre traits belonging to the races of other worlds. Violet pondered the planets they came from, and why they were chosen by Charles. He claimed everyone he brought to this world had potential to be a deity, but Violet could not see it. Her thoughts continued to spiral until she reached the nearest medical center. She smiled. It was nice to visit without any wounds. The nearly empty waiting room relieved the mage. She went straight to Jueva's office and delivered a light knock on the door. "Are you all right?" asked the medic when he welcomed his friend aside. His voice was low and slightly rough, but there was genuine care in it. Violet nodded and closed the door. "Actually, I'm fine, for once." She observed Jueva organizing countless small glass vials with his telekinesis. Lavender sparks crackled from the corner of his eyes as various medical items and tools drifted into their respective cabinets, one by one. Violet raised an eyebrow. "That's a lot of work. Do you need some help?" "You don't know where everything goes," replied Jueva evenly. Violet glanced towards the cabinets and then the vials. The cabinets bore labels which screamed their category, as did each container. "It's not too hard to figure out," she said. Cerulean energy flowed from her eyes, and every bottle and tool raced into the air at once. With great precision, Violet sent each item into its correct place. The office counters were cleaned up in seconds. Jueva sighed and ran a hand through his long and messy black hair. "Show off," he said. That was nothing. Violet flicked her wrist with a grin. "So now that it's done, we need to talk." Her prideful expression turned desperate and hopeful. She had to tilt her head up a slight for their eyes to lock, for Jueva was taller than anyone else she'd met. "What's wrong?" Violet took a moment to thank the sages for this opportunity. Jueva was notorious for overworking himself, so it was difficult to catch his free moments. "I told him again how I felt last night, but he still wouldn't help me," Violet said. Bitterness leaked into her voice. "I've tried everything but action." The medic tilted his head. "What kind of action are you talking about?" A nervous sigh escaped Violet. She grew antsy, glancing out the window in hopes to steady her breathing. Ever since her session with Charles last night, she had been waiting to spill her true feelings. Feelings she could never reveal to him. She shook her head, purple hair swaying. "I look up to the king more than anyone else, but right now I need a different opinion. Is it—" Violet paused, hunting the right words in the silence of the room. Her heart was beating fast, and so loudly that she could swear its sound echoed off the tiled floor and blank walls. "Is it wrong that I want to hurt them back?" Jueva only shrugged and spoke in a casual tone. "It's not wrong to want that. It'd be wrong to do it. Hurting them would only bring you down to their level." Violet scoffed and stiffened her shoulders. "It's easy for you and him to be so altruistic, isn't it? You aren't threatened and taken advantage of." She snapped. Her eyes went cold and her voice low. "I have enough power to be rid of them in seconds. They want my magic so badly. Why shouldn't I just give it to them?" A worried glare was cast from Jueva's eyes. "At least you're venting. But you know better than to hurt someone," he said. A burst of light interrupted. From the radiance appeared a short and frail girl, holding a messenger bag adorned with the emblem of the sun. "Hey, Jueva," she sang through a wide grin. She skipped over to him and shoved several letters against his chest, which he barely caught. "Sorry I'm late. Warping to your homeworld is always so hard." The medic leafed through the mail. "What are all these?" he asked. "Stuff from your family," replied the petite girl. She leaned close to Jueva and winked. "Well, one of 'em might be from me." Violet watched with wide eyes. She kept quiet and stepped back, suddenly feeling like an intruder in the space. This small and annoying girl was no doubt a messenger, gifted with long-distance teleportation by the king. Violet often wondered what it was like to visit so many planets every day, but she wasn't about to ask this peppy individual. The messenger turned to Violet and smiled at her, cyan eyes beaming with excitement. "Oh, who's this?" she asked. "You've never met Violet? She's the Celestial King's protege," answered Jueva. Violet had no chance to explain herself, for the girl rushed over and grabbed her hand, forcing it into a wobbly shake. "Nice to meet you. I'm Comet. Wow, you must be really incredible to learn under him." Comet's quick movements, grinning face, and brash voice were enough to make Violet nauseated. Such loud and fake happiness was surely a mask, she thought. On top of that, the messenger's bright pink hair and white uniform made her impossible to ignore. "Hi," was all the mage said in return. "We should totally hang out sometime. You look like a lot of fun." Violet had to resist a visible cringe. She forced a friendly smile. "Oh, sure, maybe," she mumbled. The thought alone had her terrified, but a spark flickered in the depths of that fear. "Hey, Comet, have you ever been to Frostilia?" "Nope." "Oh, is that where you're from? That pale skin says yes." "Yeah, I didn't think you had been there. Thanks." "Why do you ask?" Violet bit her tongue. Revealing the sensitive subject would be worth it if it got her somewhere. She sighed. "I've never received anything from my family, and I've been here for 10 years or so. I was just wondering if you had any idea why." "I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorrier to say that I don't have an answer for you. All I do is deliver the letters." Comet showed the mage a nervous smile. "That's all right. I understand." Violet lowered her head, gazing at Jueva's mail. It must be nice, she thought, to be in touch with those left behind. A brief quiet lingered before being shattered by Jueva. "Still nothing from your sister, then?" he asked gently. Violet shot him a glare, ordering him with her eyes to be silent. Comet looked between her taller company and chuckled. "Well, I'll get going then. See you two later." As if to escape the awkward atmosphere, she instantly vanished in another flash of light. Once Comet was gone, the mage frowned at the medic. "Sorry," he said. "Nothing from my father either, in case you were wondering." Violet sighed. "I miss them so much. Charles took me away from them when I was 10, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if my sister doesn't even remember me." "Don't say that. She's older than you, right?" "By a year." Violet nodded. So Jueva continued. "Then there's no way she'd forget. She'll always look after you." The medic smiled warmly. Violet felt tears push against her eyes, but she held them in. She thanked Jueva and leaned into him. He patted her back, his bashful way of hugging. "Just remember, don't get violent. That's not what your magic's for. That's not why you're the king's student," he said slowly. A bittersweet smile inhabited Violet's face. She shut her eyes. "You sound like him. I'm sure he'll make you a god at the end of this." Jueva shook his head. "I don't want to be one, but you'd make a fantastic goddess. That's why he took you under his wing."